Isn't going to my camera?
I see you, Rico.
Yeah, but it's on my.
Your forehead's cut off.
It's on my laptop camera. It's not on my.
S360. We're going into Club Media next.
The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Yeah, you guys. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, January 23rd, and today is National Security Technician Day, Rico. Rico's having some technical issues over there. It's also National Handwriting Day, Rachelle. Yeah,
I have beautiful handwriting, actually, Jason. I would challenge anybody on the team to battle against
I'll take that challenge all day because I have amazing penmanship.
Lies and propaganda.
Mine's illegible.
No, yours. I believe that, Dale. I believe that yours is yeah. Can't read it.
Mine may as well be too.
Yours is, Rachelle. Really, you're the writer. You're just the typer.
Just the typer, but you know what?
Rico's green.
They say that
Rico.
poor penmanship is a sign of genius.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go. Stick up for each other here, Rachelle.
I'm just, I feel like it's a lost art. You know what I'm saying? A lost art.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it is, man. How many kids? How many kids know how to write in cursive anymore?
Oh, you know what? I just saw the numbers of how many kids actually know how to read in school right now. You know what I'm saying?
Kids can't read cursive, that's for sure.
kids can't read in general, bro. I was shocked at the percentages. I was like, geez Louise, like what are they doing in school? All they're doing is just indoctrinating them. But nonetheless, it's also National Pie Day, you guys. Everyone loves some pie, right?
It's pie with the E day, right?
Pie with the E, like cake pie. Yeah. Not mathematical pie. Yeah, sweet potato pie. There you go, Rico. Yep, that works for you.
The greatest.
Have you ever had rhubarb pie?
You know what? I have not, and I have plenty of my non-melanated friends have told me the wonders of rhubarb pie, and I just haven't had any.
Okay.
I'd love
you gotta try it sometime. I will say this: it's an acquired taste, and it's you mostly find it on the East Coast.
You're not selling it that well, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of strawberries, a lot of sugar.
I'm not here to sell it. I'm not here to sell it because the less people that want it, the more there's for me. So why do I care?
You're here to tell it, not to sell it, right?
Yeah,
Jason?
exactly. Yeah. Anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So thank you to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are going to kick it off with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the man who doesn't wear plaid because he's a dope dad. That's right. It is none other than Rico Lamitte.
That was good, man.
Like that?
I can't be drooling over here.
Yeah. You're going to have to wear some plaid tomorrow now.
I guess so. The dope dad in plaid. All right, well, TikTok has been in the news a lot lately, and while the rest of America has been on edge about the Chinese-owned social media giant's ultimate fate under Trump 2.0, the cannabis influencer community has been mostly silent. And why is that? Because why should we care about an app getting banned that already done banned us? The irony of this whole manufactured drama is that ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, tried and failed to claim freedom of speech as a reason to remain active in America while ceding ultimate loyalty to a notoriously anti-freedom of speech CCP. Nothing even makes sense anymore. Sounds a whole lot like the shitty situation cannabis industry has struggled with for years on damn near every other social media platform and continues to on most of the majors. So cry us a fucking river, TikTok. I do love the way how Fresh Toast's Anthony Washington exposed TikTok's hypocrisy in the article that I'm covering today, calling out the app's enforced double standard on marijuana and alcohol content. Here's a piece. TikTok strictly prohibits any content that depicts or promotes cannabis. This includes not only direct advertisement for cannabis products, but also any visual or verbal references to cannabis use, sales, or trade. The platform's community guidelines explicitly state that users should not post or share content that glorifies or encourages the use of drugs, including cannabis, regardless of its legal status in various regions. The strict enforcement means that that the many users on the app find their content removed if it even indirectly suggests cannabis use such as showing smoke without clear context. But in contrast to its stance on cannabis, TikTok has updated its policies to allow advertising for alcoholic beverages under specific conditions. As of August 2024, TikTok permits alcohol ads but requires that the target users 25 or older. The rules around alcohol ads are that they must not feature individuals under the legal drinking age, and promotions cannot depict excessive drinking or irresponsible behavior. The disparity between the two reflects cultural and political biases. As TikTok's parent company, ByteDance operates in China, where marijuana is strongly opposed despite widespread alcohol use. Anthony also pointed out in the article that alcohol use disorder is a public health concern in China, especially among men. Culturally, they are known for hard drinking, heavy smoking, and occasionally illicit opium use. But the government is very anti-marijuana, leading to TikTok's double standard on marijuana and alcohol. Despite a significant number of medical institutions recognizing the medical benefits, China and TikTok still hate on the green plant, end quote. So, while the Trump administration claims otherwise, they love China. Don't they, Jason? Yes, they do.
China.
And they also love its most famous technology company because it was TikTok that helped them win this election. Stark contrast to 2020 when it most likely led to a Joe Biden beatdown. Never forget that year, pre-34-time felon Donald Trump, losing his re-election bid, was begging for a TikTok ban, calling it a national security threat, all because his lockdowns led to the app's explosion of users. 271 million at the end of 2018 to up to 689 million users end of 2020. Remember, when COVID popped off, before the Dems did it, it was Trump that first pushed a pre-Dark Zuckerberg run Facebook and Instagram, a pre-Nazi occupied Twitter, and all the other American-owned platforms to mute any resistance to his orders to stay home, stay inside, and to shoot up bleach to get rid of that disease. To be fair, they were predictably clueless after disbanding America's pandemic response team in 2018. It was Trump attempting to silence any criticism on America's social media aimed at his assembling of the NIH Avengers led by Tony Fauci to launch Operation Warp Speed, deploying a novel vaccine that he signed an executive order on, calling for the vaccination of all Americans before sending off to other nations in need. With the exception of Vladimir Putin, of course. Don't shoot the messenger, y'all. These are nothing but facts. TikTok has never been any more threatening to regular Americans than any other social media app. They all steal your data, they all spy on you and do all the nasty things ByteDance is being called out for. But TikTok became the enemy of the state only because it was Chinese run, and Trump could not control what they were letting Americans freely report what they were seeing in real time, call out the shit that wasn't making any sense, and talk as much shit about their own government as is our First Amendment right. So ignore the distractions and follow the money. They hated weed then, they hate weed now, and Trump brought him back because they getting his ass paid. Who cares? Once somebody high up in the food chain at Meta benefits from cannabis, or Mark Zuckerberg finds a way to sustainably profit off the plant, Facebook and IG will most likely ease up on the brakes like YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn have. Maybe it'll happen at TikTok too, but if they end up back in the App Store, I don't know. I would love to see Jason Beck one day doing one of those dumbass dances for likes. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. Let's talk about it.
Oh man, you guys want to see me do a dumbass dance on TikTok?
I would
You guys,
love
that's
that.
cute.
I would
cute.
love that.
That's cute.
I'd love to see you do a dumbass dance here, or maybe here, or maybe here.
Oh, that's that. I see what you did there. We're gonna have to play that commercial today just for that, Stone. Just so people, everyone get the reference. I mean, TikTok. I mean, you know,
I posted 3 videos on TikTok ever, and they all got banned. They all got shut down.
Yeah.
I stopped caring about it. That was like 3. Oh, it was 4 years ago.
They really do not like cannabis at all on TikTok, and I feel like they're far more aggressive on TikTok against cannabis than they even are against Meta, because at least Meta will like just like shadow ban you, but I feel like it's like way worse on TikTok.
I've never been kicked off TikTok, but they do just like delete my shit, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, like Meta will just delete your stuff if you're like saying stuff that it doesn't like in regards, and so you know what I mean. But not, and then they'll blame it on the fact that that it's misinformation, whatnot.
Yeah. It's real good for, I think TikTok is good for watching live sporting events that you don't want to pay for, because there's a million people just bootlegging the shit.
What do you mean? Bro, I have a smart box, bro. I get pretty much every single channel for free.
I got ripped off by the first Jake Paul fight and watched everyone since on TikTok.
Oh man.
Well, I think Donald Trump is facing a problem here because the Supreme Court affirmed that TikTok is not really a person guaranteed First Amendment rights because they're owned by the Chinese government and they're a national security threat.
Yep.
Now, the problem the courts have is that they can only issue rulings. They don't have the power to execute them. Trump does.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the president can decide if he's going to execute this or not. And so that creates a problem because all of these companies that depend on the United States government to be able to operate are on some thin ice here if they don't cooperate to make this thing go off the air. It's just going to be a shit show amongst the other popcorn eating shit shows we're watching right now as the courts get involved and try to figure this out. Because TikTok is not a friend of cannabis. That's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking information from these kids that just don't have any idea what privacy means anymore. They're putting everything out there, including how many hairs they got on their ass. And they think, oh, how do people know that? Well, you dumbass, you keep putting it out there for people to see, and you don't understand what privacy is. And right now, we were fucked with by the Russians and the Chinese in this last election cycle. Let's just be clear.
Did TikTok? Did the owner of TikTok? I know he was at the inauguration, but did he put in his $1 million donation to the inauguration like everybody else did?
Oh, you're gonna have to check the receipts on that, right?
You know?
I didn't have time to look into anything like that, and nor was I interested in any of that. But I will say this: I say Mark Zuckerberg didn't put in enough. He should have put in like 10 or 50 million, not just 1 million. But you know, the reality of it too, Rico, is that if the other side would have won, if Kamala Harris would have won, Meta and Facebook would still be censoring conservatives and everybody else that they already were. They're super fake in my opinion, and they're just trying to play
I think you're missing the point. I think you're missing the point, Jason. They all just care about money and they all care about stealing data. They all are doing the same shit. All of them are doing the same shit. Only thing that makes TikTok any different is they're owned by a Chinese company, and therefore we can't really control what's behind the scenes.
Isn't Mark Zuckerberg's wife Chinese?
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
I was just saying.
I don't know, but what I do know is they've been popped a million fucking times for stealing people's shit, for exposing people to unnecessary risk, and for pushing a bunch of false narratives. They all do the same shit. All of them. The difference is TikTok kicks all of their asses when it comes to the youth because of that dumbass dancing bullshit, and they don't like weed for some fucking reason. They won't let us smoke our weed on that shit.
I know this. I mean, and they can't even tell the difference if it's THCA or if it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're smoking tobacco, they're not going to be able to tell the difference.
Well, there's a pretty clear message that people need to understand. If you ain't paying for this shit, you're the product.
That's it.
Okay?
That's
very
it.
simple.
Rachelle, what do you think about all this? I mean, you know, in the journalism world and whatnot, you know, this whole TikTok debacle.
I mean, it's tough, right? Because people aren't reading anymore. You know, they're certainly not buying print. You know, traffic to digital websites is going down. Everyone's getting their information from social media and specifically TikTok. And so it's really difficult because those of us who rely on clicks to keep our jobs, we have to find new and interesting and innovative ways to drive traffic, because most people, when they're on TikTok, yeah, it's great for exposure, but it's not necessarily equating to clicks. So it's a problem.
Right. Yeah, it was according to likes, right, and views.
Yeah, which is cool, but like that's not making us money, and therefore not paying my salary. So that's the problem.
Fair enough. Got to put bread on the table. I feel you on that, Rachelle.
Out there practicing gratitude and manifesting abundance. Get them clicks and get paid, right?
Yeah.
Please click.
What do you guys say, Stone?
I think I read somewhere that the average human today has about a 7-second attention span online. So TikTok is made for it, and I don't know.
7 seconds, really? I thought it was 3.
7 seconds.
I thought it was 3.
7 seconds, or they're down that scroll hole.
Oh, interesting.
Well, Twitter bought Vine, and Vine was 6 seconds. Why doesn't Elon Musk just turn that shit back on?
I heard he might.
Oh boy. Well, we're gonna keep this train rolling. We're gonna roll right into our first commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
Awards next year.
Oh man. And we are back, you guys.
We are back. And up next is the High 9 News head honcho, known for smoking the best weed in the world and waiting on his moment of fame when he gets to do some kind of dumbass TikTok dance with a joint in his mouth. Jason Beck.
One day, Rico. One day soon, buddy. Maybe that day is coming sooner than later. But
a man can dream.
You know, I can tell you what's coming sooner than later is that lawmakers are proposing regulations to implement Nebraska's new medical cannabis laws, you guys. And I'm going to try to go through this fast. It's a long one, and I tried to shorten it up as much as I could. But 3 similar legislative proposals introduced on Wednesday seek to help implement the voter-enacted legislation and regulation of medical cannabis in Nebraska by later this year, you guys. The legislation introduced by State Senator Danielle Conrad of Lincoln, Ben Hansen of Blair, and Terrell McKinney of Omaha would create registry programs and further stipulate the licensing and regulatory duties of the new Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission. All 3 would allow Nebraskans, after receiving a written recommendation from a healthcare practitioner for medical cannabis, to apply for a registry card identifying them as a qualifying patient. The registry would similarly apply to registered caregivers, such as for minors in that case. The bill, which are all structurally similar with some key differences, are legislative
Bill 651, that's the one that Conrad introduced. LB 677, that's Hansen's bill. And LB 705, that's McKinney's bill. In a quote, "The time is long overdue that Nebraskans in need of care have access to that care," Conrad told reporters. An additional quote, "I think we're in a little bit of a unique position where a lot of other states have already gone this direction," Hansen said. "And we have the ability to see what has worked well for others and what hasn't. Without further state law changes, the Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission must establish criteria to accept or deny applications for registered cannabis establishments by July 1st. And licenses could then be granted as early as October 1st, you guys, getting right in time for Halloween." Conrad, Hansen, and McKinney would delay the start of licensing slightly to give commissioners more time to work on the new regulations, and applications could instead be filed in the beginning of January 1, 2026. That's the beginning of next year. A fourth bill, LB 483, from freshman state senator Jared Storm of David City, would limit the legal medical cannabis to 300 milligrams of Delta-9 THC, the compound in the cannabis plant most commonly associated with getting a person high. LB 483 would also limit permissible cannabis to the form of pills or liquid tinctures, which are concentrated herbal extracts. And with about 28,350 milligrams per ounce, Storm's bill would reduce legalization to about 0.21% of what 71% of voters authorized less than 3 months ago. About 67% of Nebraska voters also supported the second measure to regulate medical cannabis, and Storm's legislative district of Butler, Colfax, and Saunders counties approved both measures. Storm declined to comment on his bill, and Conrad said some patients seeking medical cannabis can't take pills because of their conditions, she said. She drafted her bill with advocates from the recent medical marijuana campaign for, in quotes, "one of the most expansive bills possible to effectuate the will of the people as swiftly as possible," she says. She said she and Hansen are committed to enacting the will of the people, and in an additional quote, "When and if those negotiations happens, I want to make sure to have their best interest at heart and in the room," Conrad said. Hansen said enacting the will of the people is important to him after multiple years around the issue, and including working with former State Senator Anna Wishart of Lincoln, a former lead member of the medical cannabis efforts. A 2021 bill from Wishart fell 2 votes short of advancing, and in a quote says, "It's my kind of somewhat conservative libertarian leaning stance about is it the government's right to deny you a natural or a different form of medication to help with a condition as opposed to pharmaceutical medications?" I think that's a valid question. Hansen said in an additional quote, this says, "That's what the people, I think, wanted as well, just the option to use it if they could." The cannabis ballot measures continue to be challenged in court, with one lawsuit being appealed to the Nebraska Supreme Court and another against multiple state officials and the campaign in Lancaster County District Court. Governor Jim Pillen and Attorney General Mike Higgers have questioned the constitutionality of the measures under the federal law, which they argue bans marijuana because the drug is classified as a Schedule I drug, defined as having no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. Conrad, however, said that opposition is a political opinion, and that is odd when compared with the wide latitude authorized in the U.S. Constitution for states' rights. The Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana campaign has made similar arguments, pointing to dozens of other states with medical cannabis programs under the 10th Amendment, and under the regulatory bills from McKinney, Conrad, and Hansen, all three would prohibit a patient, caregiver, or other licensed officials under the law from being arrested, prosecuted, or penalized for following the Nebraska Medical Cannabis Patient Protection Act or Nebraska Medical Cannabis Regulation Act. Medical cannabis would be legalized for all patients in all three bills, up to 5 ounces, as a matter of fact. Conrad and McKinney would allow a healthcare practitioner to write a recommendation for a greater amount depending on a patient's needs. And the bill from Conrad and McKinney would set up a confidential patient and caregiver registry in the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Hansen's bill would put a registry as part of the new Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission,
with an application fee of up to $45. And all three regulatory bills would restrict membership on the new commission to the members of the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission, removing the authority of the governor to appoint up to 2 more commissioners. The new commission also would have an executive director who could be the same person across the liquor and medical cannabis commissions, and under the proposed laws, commissioners could not have conflicts of interest for cannabis sales or licensing, and in addition to existing conflict of interest laws governing liquor sales and licensing. The Nebraska Department of Revenue, the DHHS, Nebraska Department of Agriculture, and the Medical Cannabis Commission would all collaborate to execute the new laws as well. And the new bills include language about cultivating and transporting cannabis in Nebraska, and the laws voters pass do not supersede or replace prohibitions on using or possessing cannabis in the following situations: while undertaking any task that would constitute negligence or professional malpractice because of cannabis use, including driving or while at work; on K through 12 post-secondary school grounds, including on school buses or in vans, in any jail, adult or juvenile correction facility, or a youth rehabilitation and treatment center, at any child care facility or home daycare. And in some circumstances, minor patients or workers could use or access their medical cannabis at schools or in child care, foster care, or healthcare facilities, and those places could impose what's, in quotes, reasonable restrictions, but could not, in quotes, unreasonably limit the patient's access to the medicine. However, if allowing cannabis would risk financial penalties or loss of a license under federal law or regulations, cannabis could still be banned. Smoking cannabis or inhaling cannabis would also remain illegal if it could be inhaled by a non-patient minor child or is used in a public place other than with an aerosol inhaler, you guys. Oh man, that's crazy. And employers would not be required to permit or accommodate cannabis possession or use, and could restrict use of the drug under all three bills, and drug testing and drug-free work policies could still be enforced. McKinney's bill would specifically prohibit employers from discriminating against a qualified patient or registered caregiver in hiring, firing, or other conditions of employment unless the employee used cannabis during work hours and the usage impaired job performance or safety. And employers would need to provide reasonable accommodations under McKinney's approach. Insurance and Medicaid plans would not be required to cover the cost of cannabis in the versions from Hansen and Conrad, and insurance coverage is not specified in McKinley's bill. And McKinley's bill would stipulate that beginning on January 1st for licensing applications, only, get ready, Rico, social equity applicants could apply. He would reserve more than half of all licenses for people who have lived in areas impacted by state and federal marijuana possession and distribution laws, or who were themselves disproportionately harmed by the country's war on drugs. Such applicants would be eligible for mentorship and financial assistance in new programs proposed through the Nebraska Department of Economic Development, and other applicants could apply beginning April 1st of 2026. That's April Fool's Day. I wonder if they're just joking about that. And Hansen said many factors went into his bill, such as the ballot measure and what voters approved, and possible economic benefits, and, in quotes, what we can live with as a legislature. I don't think we should pass the bill or do this because we're going to make money, Hansen said. It's because it's what the people wanted and it's right for our state, he says. Sales taxes are not applied to medicines in Nebraska, but McKinney and Conrad and Hansen would redefine medical cannabis to make it subject to state and local sales tax. And Storm's bill does not include that change, meaning it would not be taxed under LB 483. McKinney would tax cannabis at a statewide 5.5 cents per $1 purchase before local taxes, and Hansen and Conrad are seeking a 4-cent state sales tax rate per $1 purchase before local taxes. And revenue from sales taxes would be funneled back into the program under the proposal from McKinney and Conrad, and Hansen's bill would redirect the cannabis tax revenues toward property tax relief, you guys. Well, Nebraska seems like you guys are going to get a medical program after all, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I am Jason. I am genuinely intrigued about all the conservative proposals, also including social equity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's given the current political climate, number one, and then also seeing these other states, especially red states, completely omitting that from their proposals. That's interesting to me. Very.
Right. I mean, it sounds overall like they're going to enact something that makes sense for the people out there.
Yeah.
Like, as a
Seems
surprise,
pretty
surprise, right?
complicated.
What
It seems overly complicated to me.
Yeah.
is that
And
right,
makes
Dale?
it- The more complicated you make it, the less chance it has of actually working.
So are you saying they threw it in there like like a lot of the pork in these big bills, knowing that it's going to get shaved out?
Well, what I can tell you in dealing with conservatives that do this kind of stuff is that when it comes to weed, they're happy to tax and regulate the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though for years they railed against these, liberals and progressive pushing tax and regulations for things they don't want. You flip the script on them and they're doing the same damn stuff. From my perspective, this sounds like, they're trying to get you to like the bill, even though in the final analysis got to be figured out and worked better, because this is not a recipe for people to get out of the black market and come into the legal market. They're going to continue to buy their weed from the guy around the corner.
Oh man, I mean, what do you think about this, Stone? I mean, I know you love Nebraska and you love corn.
Corn. I don't know, man. They're all over the place. I think they're probably going to just thinking about Nebraska, they're going to get stuck with the stick in the mud, Jared Storm's bill, because that sounds more like Nebraska to me. Obviously not the will of the people, but the Nebraska government.
I guess at that point, that's when you say the weed for the people, right, Stone?
Weed for the people.
I only have one interaction ever in Nebraska. It's when they first joined the Big Ten, went out there for our first game. And, Nebraska used to be a big powerhouse football team, and our bullshit team went out there and we beat them. I was prepared for a fight in the stands afterwards, and they were super nice, man. There's very nice people. Genuinely nice.
Really nice fan base.
They are.
Really nice fan base. Texas sent them to the Big Ten crying. We did that to them, so that's why you guys beat them.
and that's when you say hook 'em, right, Stone?
That's right.
And Texas did great this year, Yeah.
Fair enough. Rachelle, what do you think about this overall?
I'm happy to see Nebraska finally getting medical cannabis. It's a win. It took so long for them to get it, even though, the will of the people, right, was constantly ignored. So I'm really glad. And I'm frankly relieved to see that any of the challenges were defeated in court. So whatever it looks like, I'm excited for them to have it.
Yeah, I think it's really positive too of how at least two, possibly three of these bills out of the four are basically saying it's all about enacting the will of the people, and they're standing on that regardless of how they may feel internally in regards to. And so I think a lot of these they got a lot of common sense reforms in here, and I hope Nebraska the best on this, and We will definitely keep you up to date on the developments in Nebraska as they move forward, because Rico, you ever
the corn cob pipe paraphernalia is about to pop off.
Exactly. You're gonna be able to buy those at gas stations. Rico, you ever see the movie Belly?
Oh, of course. Come on, man.
All right. Just want to make sure you had seen Belly.
I don't mean to stereotype myself, but I really don't know any black males around my age that have not seen Belly, the greatest music video and worst movie of all time.
Oh man. Oh man. All right. Well, we're gonna keep this train rolling. We're gonna roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, correction officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license also, too, while helping other inmates in prison as well. He is blunt, honest, unconcerned with yours and anyone else's public opinions, and will tell you and show you how to defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is none other than your favorite T.O. Loco, and you can now find him at the law office of Dale Schafer. It is none other than attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody, and for those of you on the East Coast, early afternoon. California's on fire again, so here we are, trying to deal with those non-existent effects of climate change. Jason sent me a story out of South Carolina. I told him I would I wrote a short little piece about this, and it's on the website, I think. This has to deal with trying to wrap your arms around the hemp-derived cannabinoids, what we call here in California, intoxicating hemp products, things like that. South Carolina has introduced a bill. It started late last year. It's now been sent into their Agricultural and Natural Resources Committee as of about a week and a half ago. And what this is trying to do is to stop the sale of hemp-derived cannabinoids to minors. It looks to me like that's their intent, that's their stated intent. And the way they're doing this is, I guess it's interesting. It's something that's been tried around the nation here a couple of times. They have defined hemp-derived cannabinoids as broadly as they can. They first took delta-9 THC out of the equation. Everything else, okay, including delta-8, delta-10, THCO, THCA for you, Jason, and intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids are all included in the definition, and they specifically exclude CBD, CBG, some of the other non-intoxicating cannabinoids, just so that there can be a broader definition of what's included in this bill. Now, what they're requiring is that every company that manufactures or sells hemp-derived cannabinoids has to have a license. And the license for sale has to be at every place where you sell it. So this broadens the requirements for licensure out there. You can't just have them on the shelves in your Stop and Rob, along with, motor oil and things like that. You got to have a specific license to do it. And they've made selling, giving, dispensing to minors, and that's anyone under 18, they made an offense. And for minors, if you go out and try to acquire these products, if you're under 18, it's also an offense. And they call it a Class A misdemeanor. So I looked this up, and Class A misdemeanor in South Carolina carries up to 3 years incarceration and up to a $3,000 fine. So this is not the type of misdemeanor that I'm used to around the states where it's limited typically to a year in county jail, and a relatively minor fine. This is a spanking. If you get caught doing this, you can get spanked pretty good. Now, they've also required testing, but they require you to use a DEA-registered testing site. Apparently, they've read the horror stories from California where there were out, lab shopping, and you don't want that to happen here. So you got to go to a DEA-registered lab. You got to get a certificate of analysis. The COA is good for 1 year, and that's basically the expiration date for these products. They also provided a list of contaminants they don't want you to have. They're going to allow the regulatory agencies to define the limits, the working limits for these contaminants, but they've got listed contaminants there. Now, they're also serious about not advertising to children. This one kind of caught my attention because they say you can't use trade dress and things like that include superheroes, comic book characters, movie characters, mythical creatures, and unicorns. They're really serious about not wanting you to advertise to minors, and they got real specific here about what you can and can't use, but I don't think it's going to be any better in defining some of this than California, so you can't advertise to minors. Well, what does that mean? Well, find out. Okay. Now, apparently South Carolina has a tobacco-free school zone bill. Okay, I didn't go do a lot of research into this, but it seems that they have a tobacco-free school zone bill, and they've added hemp-derived cannabinoids to this bill. You can't have them on campus. You'll be punished depending on whether you're a student, an employee, staff, a visitor, things like that. You're going to be facing different types of punishment. There's going to be signs everywhere. You can't have hemp-derived cannabinoids on the campus. And what I see here is an attempt to try and wrap your hands around all the loopholes that were created when Congress, in its infinite wisdom, defined hemp as containing less than 0.3% THC. without further defining what THC means. They didn't go talk to organic chemists or people who were experienced in cannabinoids and cannabinoid medicine. Some hick from French Lick decided that, oh, I'm a senator, I'm going to draft this up and we're going to keep it below 0.3% THC. And the shit that flowed from that has just been incredible, including, as you know, Jason, THCA, which is the precursor to THC.
THC all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, South Carolina is trying to wrap their hands around that. California tried it by calling them intoxicating cannabinoids, and we'll see how successful this is. Because in California, it was immediately attacked as being overregulated and outside the scope of the authority and the Administrative Procedures Act and stuff like that. So we'll see if this actually works. And if it does work, then don't be surprised if other states out there that are struggling with these hemp-derived products on shelves everywhere being sold to whoever walks in the door trying to use a template like this. There's all sorts of places where holes can be poked in it. That's what lawyers make their money on.
Mm-hmm.
So if this might have some degree of success, don't be surprised if you see it being floated out there in other places trying to deal with hemp products that are not classified as marijuana under federal law. I'm going to throw this back at you guys for your comments, and I don't know what's going to happen here, but I see this as another failed attempt to try to stop what people want to do with hemp products.
But Dale, they're allowing all the products to be sold, though, right?
Well, they are, but they're restricting it to children. Okay, but the definitions here, you just wonder how someone's going to try to get around them if they do. I think they're getting closer to a workable model here, because if you try to keep it away from adults, it's just not going to work. Kids, I think, is that we don't want kids being able to buy Delta 8 and smoking it and vape pens.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they want to. You're saying they want to be better. They want to be better than Texas.
Well, that's not hard.
Easy there.
Shots fired.
I can't defend Texas. Go ahead.
You're not going to defend your home state, huh?
Not on this issue.
Not on this issue.
Jason, is your old girl Nancy Mace? Is she gonna stop picking dumbass fights and gonna speak up on this? This is her wheelhouse.
I mean, I don't hear a lot of things wrong. They're trying to make sure that it's not getting into the hands of kids. I think probably the dumbest thing is the restrictions on advertising, because that's kind of like it's hard to enforce and written super vague. But I think overall, I think this is a fairly decent bill.
I'm just saying,
am I missing something?
I'm saying she's the highest profile South Carolinian politician in the game right now. Tim Scott, he didn't get a place in the cabinet, so I guess he's back in the cabinet.
Well, Tim Scott's been doing pretty good advocating for safe banking.
So I'm saying, like Nancy Mace, this is in her wheelhouse. I would love to hear her thoughts on this. I would love to hear her speak up about this. This is her state. Well, they're trying to move shit forward.
I would imagine that she's a supporter of it. I don't see her being a non-supporter of it.
Yeah. I know. I was asking you. I was like, has she spoken up? Is she in support? Or has she even been mentioned speaking about this recently?
I mean, mind you, this legislation just dropped yesterday, but I haven't seen her seen her mention it in relation to. You know what I mean? Mind you, there's been a lot going on in D.C. that she's been having to keep up with on her state's behalf. So can't fault her for that.
Yeah, because she's just picking. Like I said, she's picking fights that don't matter to nobody.
She's not picking fights that don't matter. She's picking fights that matter to the people.
She's getting headlines.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, bring this to the headlines. I would love to see that. I would love to see that, because this actually
I'm sure
matters.
she will. I mean, she's a fierce advocate for cannabis. So, I imagine she will. Maybe I'll reach out to her and ask her to, throw something out there.
Maybe she's waiting on Jeff Bezos and Amazon to tell her what to do, at the Koch brothers to tell her what to do.
Oh God. Jeez,
they are her biggest backers, and they are her biggest advocates on the cannabis side. That is true. Maybe she's waiting to see what the company tells her what to do.
The Kochs are her biggest backers. That part is true. Yeah. Rachelle, what do you think about this, South Carolina? I mean, you guys have a hemp company over there. Are you excited? This is going to secure and lock down commerce for you guys and your brand in that state.
I mean, we're definitely trying to expand more into the southern states. I mean, hemp is popping there. We recently had a meeting with a beverage partner of ours, and they said that sales in states like Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama are skyrocketing. So yeah, South Carolina, bring it on.
I'm with it. Love me some South Carolina, a little Petey Pablo. You
Yeah,
Poppin'.
Tennessee
Yeah,
is
come on, raise
pop.
up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Heard that. All right, well, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Oh man, and we are back, you guys. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it, you'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right. Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry, secure up to $2 million today. And make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9. No, it doesn't.
You got some white. You got some white with your green. Sounds like a party.
All right, and we're back, Rico. We're back.
Right back. Caught me off guard there.
Yeah,
Up
I
next,
bet.
we have my man straight out of Jason's favorite acronym of for a city, ATX.
Austin, Texas, bro. Stop the
land where Delta 8 is gold.
And that's part of the reason that all these kids can't read is because you keep guys coming up with these dumbass acronyms for everything.
I blame emojis, man. This all
Emojis are just 20th century hieroglyphics, Rico.
Anyways, straight out the purple state of Texas, this man decided to hit the high road, and today he is looking extra dapper, looking like a young Sean Connery, getting ready for that new 007 Tubi movie, Stone Slade.
05 Shine, right?
The original.
Shine.
Yes.
Thank you, Rico. I want to first apologize to Anthony. My new setup is getting sunlight on me, and I've been all over the place for this episode. So
You're fine.
I'm sorry if you've been chasing me around.
You look fine. You look fine, Stone. You're gonna be all right. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Anyway, we're going to talk about some more of that intoxicating hemp.
Mhm.
Missouri finds itself at the center of a debate over how to handle intoxicating hemp products like Delta 8 THC. These products, found in gummies, vapes, and drinks, are legal under the 2018 Farm Bill, and you can currently grab them at gas stations or convenience stores, often with no ID check and no guarantee about what's inside. Missouri's cannabis trade group, MoCan, has proposed a compromise. They're advocating for treating hemp-derived THC products the same as cannabis under the Division of Cannabis Regulation. That means that these products would be only be sold in licensed dispensaries with strict rules about production and sales. MoCan also suggests that they carve out a low-dose hemp THC beverage, capping them at 5 milligrams of THC per serving, and banning synthetic THC altogether. We're working through and very excited about the possibility of developing a carve-out for low THC hemp drinks, said Tim Robbins, a lobbyist for MoCan, during a Senate committee hearing this week. But not everyone's on board. The Missouri Hemp Trade Association said that this compromise would devastate small businesses across the state. The bill will still, even with the hemp beverage carve out, shut down hundreds of Missouri businesses and cost hundreds of Missourians their jobs, said Brooklyn Hill, the president of the Hemp Trade Group. Hill spoke passionately about her father's business, Dave's Doobies, which manufactures hemp, CBD, and Delta 8 products in a small town of just 300 people. It's incredible to see my dad, hero of my childhood, build a legacy from the ground up, one in a small town that can help employ what's normally poverty. For her, this legislation is just policy, it's personal. The opposition doesn't stop there. Rick McGavock, owner of Popcorn Dispensary in Herman, expressed fears that the proposed legislation would destroy his livelihood. We poured our blood, sweat, and literal tears into building this business. Our name has become an integral part of the brand. This bill puts our business and the livelihoods of our 10 employees at risk. These are real people with families, and rebranding simply is not an option. At the heart of his concerns is a provision in Shore's bill that states no person or entity other than licensed cannabis facilities can operate under a name containing the word dispensary or anything similar. For McGavock, this would mean more than just a name change. It's a potential death sentence for his business, he says. Meanwhile, health advocates like Julie Weber, director of the Missouri Poison Center, have highlighted the risk of leaving these products unregulated. What the products contain, really, we do not know because it's not regulated, she told the committee. She added that unregulated products have already led to serious incidents with children ending up unresponsive and on ventilators after accidental ingestion. This fight in Missouri is part of a larger national trend. Dale's story to states like California and Minnesota have already implemented strict rules to curb the sale of unregulated hemp products, addressing the same public and health concerns. So Missouri isn't alone in trying to clean up the mess left by weak federal guidelines. Hemp, cannabis, weed, pot, call it what you want, should have never been villainized the way it has. We all know that. The situation we're in now is the ripple effect of bad legislation. Delta 8's a product of prohibition that never should have been. It's the result of a loophole in the hemp bill, and that loophole may finally be closing. I understand some people built businesses around Delta 8, but cannabis is a perfect plant in its natural form. There's no need for synthetic cannabis products. As for the rest of the hemp-derived THC market, let's get it right. Set clear regulations to keep these products out of minors' hands, test them for safety, give consumers confidence in what they're buying. It's not complicated. And let's not forget, Missouri is already a legal adult use state. People have the choice to buy regulated cannabis from products from dispensaries. So this isn't about taking away choice. It's about making sure the options are safe and reliable. I'm Stone Slade for the High at 9 News.
Man, Stone on a Delta 8 rampage over there, hating on his favorite products over here today.
Throwing fire at Jason's Delta 8, baby.
I love this.
More Delta hate than 8. I love it.
We did get a super chat from C-Word, so thank you so much for that, C-Word, who says, at the end of the day, is weed not a drug and should be descheduled, or is weed a drug and should be kept away from children?
Weed is not a drug.
It's a plant.
Fine drug.
Yeah, exactly. It's a plant. It's a plant. You know what I'm saying? It's one of
drug is a past tense verb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it derives from the old Dutch word of droog, which means dried plant. Because 200 years ago, all they had was dried plants. Now all the synthetic shit are called drugs. What's a dried plant now? That's the problem. What are the problems? And they keep saying some kids are on ventilators. I'd like to see the medical evidence that some kid took too much Delta 8 THC and ended up in the ICU on a ventilator. That's gaslighting bullshit right there.
I think that's a fair point, Dale, because we all know what dried meat is, and it's beef jerky.
or is that also what happens when you get out the shower?
Oh God!
I just love that you guys get off on this, particularly
especially if it's cold, right?
Rico.
What's that? What's that, Jenny Beth?
I love that Rachelle and I just sit here and stare like disappointed moms when you guys get too far off topic.
I think they're trying to close these loopholes. The only way they're really going to get this accomplished is to stop all the nonsense and take away the federal prohibitions and let states handle it. Let them trademark stuff so you can protect your trademarks. That's part of the problem here. You don't get trademark protection. This is not a taking. You're not supposed to take people's property without due process, This is not a taking because they don't recognize these types of trademarks. They're not registered. They're just personal things that they're going to take them away from you, whether you cry or run to court or not. You're not protected.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get the type of protection that you get when it's fully legalized, or the state says we're not going to allow it. You can drive from our state to someplace else and get your weed, or we're going to allow it and stop all this nonsense, regulatory vagueness, and this bullshit they keep throwing at us.
Fair.
This whole fight, man, is heating up, and it's just interesting to see state to state doing different things. I do love the trade association's name in Missouri. I think it's one of the best, MoCan.
Mm-hmm. State to state with the Delta hate. You know what I'm saying, Rico?
I know, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 5 milligram drink. Who's going to 5 milligram drink?
Well, I mean, a lot of people buy a lot of people.
I think they do some crossfading there with the low THC drinks in the bars.
Yeah, there's tons of people that buy 2 milligram drinks, Dale. Like it's crazy to me too. I get it. I mean, they might as well just drink water, but whatever. You know what I mean?
I tell you, man,
like kissing your sister.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I mean, Rachelle, you're in the state of cannabis beverages. You know what I mean? What are you guys coming out with a beverage?
Yeah, so the company that Kurt is working with, they make hella beverages. They have 40% of the market share in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of drinks.
It's a lot
including some higher dose ones. They're a company called Oliphant out in Wisconsin. They're doing a 25 milligram drink, and they're working on a 50.
Mm-hmm.
So not all of them are low dose.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, Jenny Beth, you have anything you want to throw in on this? It's nice to see you this morning.
Jenny Beth just shotgunned a THC seltzer.
Yeah, she's still getting
I'm
up.
actually drinking water out of my Starbucks cup, so stay hydrated. No, nothing to add. I think you guys have said enough. Stone said cock. I think that's all we needed to hear.
Hey, that was an accident.
Oh man! All right, we're gonna roll into our final commercial, and we are gonna be right back. Are you all ready for America's new #1 D9 gummy line? That's right, we are bringing to you Parody Gummy. These vegan gummies are manufactured in a safe harbor facility, so you know they're going to be clean and safe, and they're not going to give you any of the runaround. Coming in, we have 3 amazing flavors for you. We have the Raspberry Riots. Also, we have the Sleepy Joes if you need something to help you sleep at night. And if you're feeling like raging and having a party time, that's right, we have the Pineapple Bad Hombre. If you're feeling like a bad hombre, make sure you head over to www.parodygummy.com and secure your bag today. Oh, and we are back, and we are going to roll right into Miss Rachelle Gordon. She's the editor at Green State Magazine, and on top of that, she is the Minnesota State Champ at the Lego competition. That's right. She also has a hemp brand that you guys may want to check out online, and that's right, it is none other than Miss Rachelle Gordon. Yeah, right? I've heard that as well. That would be freaking awesome. Would they all be green at that point? All the pieces?
My story today actually is not from Green State. It's from our friends over at Minnesota Public Radio, talking about the fact there's a lot of illegal weed on the streets out in Minnesota. Big surprise. In fact, over $600,000 worth. Get into it. As the delayed process to license legal cannabis dispensaries continues, Minnesota is trying to keep a lid on its growing illegal cannabis market. According to a 2025 report by the Minnesota Office of Cannabis Management, agency found more than 199 pounds of illicit cannabis flower at 134 sites between January and October 2024. That's around $607,000 worth of flower voluntarily destroyed by businesses upon inspection. 4 business entities were fined $10,000 each, and civil penalties. Quote, additional challenges encountered by the office related to the illicit cannabis market include practice of businesses gifting cannabis along with other purchases, online cannabis sales and mobile cannabis delivery services, peddler stands selling product at family-friendly events like the Minnesota State Fair, and other large public cannabis events, the report read. Minnesota legalized the recreational use of marijuana in August 2023, but has struggled to get business licensing on track. Last November, a Ramsey County judge halted the state's pre-approved licensing lottery after a group of applicants who were denied access sued Minnesota's cannabis office. The state agency does still not have a permanent director. Earlier this month, interim head Charlene Briner left the role and was replaced by Eric Taubel, who has served as general counsel at the cannabis department for the past year. Sale of recreational cannabis is not yet legal. That means the, quote, illicit cannabis market continues to play a role in cannabis consumption in Minnesota, according to the OCM. Big surprise. The only option for recreational use now is homegrown marijuana. What they forget to put in this article is you can also buy it legally at tribal-run dispensaries. Given the illicit nature of illegal sales of cannabis, the size of such a market is not able to be determined with complete accuracy or consistency, said the report. Last week, the window for verification of social equity applicants was opened and has a deadline of January 30th. A revamped timeline now puts the general licensing lottery between May and June tentatively. According to a survey by the OCM on cannabis use, 40% of Minnesotans consumed cannabis daily or almost daily. Participants also reported obtaining an average of 24 grams of cannabis within the last month, which is slightly higher than the national average and comparable Midwest states, quote, suggesting a robust market for cannabis-related businesses. So, surprise, surprise, the trap is alive and well in Minnesota. I actually think that these assumptions and these analysis are actually lower than they ought to be. I think there's a lot more trap weed out on the market right now, and they're just not finding it. I think that the OCM is having a hard time enforcing their own rules. They're understaffed. They don't even have a leader yet. And I think the gifting essentially has become a huge part of the culture out here. I've seen a lot of people at these pop-ups and whatnot. They'll sell like points, and then you can use your points to get cannabis. You know, you're not necessarily seeing a lot of, oh, buy a t-shirt.
Wow. You said that they are underreporting on the trap market. Surprise that they're underreporting on something that they can't necessarily quantify.
The trap is a card carrying member of NAFTA. Remember that, man.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You guys are funny.
I think it's interesting how many people they estimate in Minnesota are actually using cannabis regularly. This just speaks to me that we're about the same spot with cannabis that we were with alcohol in the early 1930s. It's like we can't enforce this shit. Criminals are making all the money. We need to step up and fix this. The question is, can the federal government and these state governments actually do it? I'm not sure. After the fight we saw over rescheduling and the internal battles between the DEA and the DOJ, and even inside states where the Democrats and Republicans are still, unnecessarily fighting over something that it seems like everybody wants this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What's it going to take to get people to recognize that it's safer than alcohol? People want to use it. You can make money off it as long as you don't run the businesses in the ground. And why are we wasting money on enforcing against someone that wants to smoke a goddamn joint?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, Stone. Exactly. I mean, I thought it was fascinating that they even came up with this number and wanted to admit to this. And I find it even more funnier that you make the point, Rachelle, that they don't have a leader in the office, and so that's just a way for them to point as a scapegoat and be like, oh, we don't have any real leadership, so we're just out here just doing whatever. Just, you know what I'm saying?
It's Tim Walz' fault.
Yeah.
And Jason, you beat me to it on the numbers of this shit. Like, it's Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like Like, is Minnesota like the only truthful authority? Like, 199 pounds, not 200, not nearly
Yeah.
200, but over 199 pounds of illicit cannabis
199.
valued at approximately 607,000. You sure that wasn't $6.7 million as it would have been in New York?
I wonder how much of this illicit product is a beverages, because you know that's going to increase the weight.
Ooh, good point.
That's a good point.
Just saying.
You know, I feel like what I've read from other news reports is a lot of what they're finding is it's flour and vapes. Basically, at this point, all inhalables are essentially banned for sale, and a lot of people are still selling them. Same with dabs. Really, all people can sell are drinks, gummies, chocolates, topicals, things like that. Also, certain cannabinoids can also are also banned. So there's no THCV. I feel like there's a couple other ones too. Right now, you can only do CBD, Delta 9 THC, CBG, and maybe I don't even know if you can do CBN.
What about THCO?
Definitely not. None of that. Not THCO, no THCP, no THCA, none of that. You have to drive over to Wisconsin if you want to get any of that stuff.
Oh man.
Delta 80 Wisconsin.
Rachelle, speaking of Wisconsin, is Wisconsin? Wisconsin gets like the stoner rep. You don't really hear much about Minnesota being like heavy stoners in mainstream American culture.
It's because it says like it's because they got Rico. It's because they got their walls propped up in Minnesota.
I see what you did there. No, but it says over 40% of Minnesotans use cannabis daily. That's a nice number there. What's going on?
A lot of people smoke. A lot of people do the drinks, and it's actually funny. I mentioned Oliphant earlier. You can see a video posted today on their account. They're over in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a very heavy drinking state. They were concerned about the response. This brewery, THC is now 70% of their revenue.
Wow.
70.
Wow.
Well, yeah, Wisconsin, they allow you to bring your kid into the bar with you, and you can drink legally with your child in a bar.
I grew up in the bar, you know, like for real. I was there with my mom every Sunday for football. We'd go like during the week. I got drunk with my mom at the bar all the time in high school. It was rad.
Get it, Rachelle. Getting it.
I would love it. I don't mean to bring it to a dark place, but if I knew my father, I would love to have, gone to a bar, got drunk with him and beat the shit out of some people instead of doing it alone.
Oh boy. Well, maybe if you would have been there, you would have been beating the shit out of people, Rico.
I was actually doing that all throughout college with my friends from Wisconsin because they taught me the ways of Wisconsin.
Yeah, they taught you how to do that.
The ways of the Wisconsin white male.
Oh boy, man, this place about to burn down from all the gaslighting going on today.
Oh man,
Jenny Beth, what do you got to say about all this hemp hooray-ness?
I mean, at least I have an option, I guess. I don't know. It's whatever. And I don't think illicit beverages are an issue, right? Because it takes a lot of formulations experience to actually get a beverage.
I think illicit beverages could be a very big issue, possibly, especially with all the beverage production that's going on in Minnesota.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Like how many times you seen underage kids like outside of a liquor store or whatever, like asking people to buy beer for them and shit. I can see, some underage kids asking, "Oh, give me a 6-pack of that can."
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. Can I get a can of brew?
Come to California because Can's been shipping way more of their product than anybody's ever sold to every fucking dispensary in the state of California for free for a very long time. So tell them to come get it here. But yeah, whatever.
Man,
allegedly.
Oh man.
Can will never sponsor us, but hey.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Thanks, Jenny.
I know.
Yeah. Well. All right, Rico. Time to move on to Jenny. She's all fired up today, apparently.
Apparently so. I guess
she's
that
triggered by cans.
I'm guessing the shotgun THC beverage that you took before the show was not a can.
I think it's because she prefers bottles, Rico. That's why she's got the thing on cans.
Onward. She is the founder of Kind Cannabis Consulting and just to serve 501c3, and here to break us off with our final story of the day that's sure gonna piss somebody off. Jenny Beth Dills. Yeah.
Definitely going to piss somebody off because this 12-year-old wants to clear his good, clean name, he says. In British Columbia, a former student is suing the principal of Westmont Montessori School and the organization that runs it, claiming defamation and breach of privacy after cannabis gummy incident led to his expulsion. According to the lawsuit, the student, then 12 years old, and 2 classmates consumed cannabis gummies during a school trip in 2021. The gummies were allegedly CBD-based and non-intoxicating, though the school disputes this. Shortly after Principal Magnus Hanton expelled the student, reportedly calling him a drug trafficker, naming him in an email sent to parents, which also described the incident. The student and his family say the expulsion caused embarrassment and ridicule, particularly because he was the only one removed while the 2 other students involved returned to school after a restorative process. They also allege Hanton acted under pressure from influential parents who make donations to the school and sit on its board. Hanton denies all claims, maintaining the expulsion was due to the student's poor disciplinary record and arguing the email was a necessary communication to parents. The lawsuit is seeking damages for loss of reputation and mental suffering. A trial is scheduled for November. You guys, I'm going to pick this the fuck apart. Let's start at the top, okay? They were CBD-based and non-intoxicating. Well, if these kids weren't intoxicated, then how the fuck did the school tell that they had taken gummies, right? 2, calling him a drug trafficker, which is a little dramatic, right? He's not trafficking. He is he's disseminating drugs. He's not trafficking them. It's different. So I think it's hilarious to me. And it sounds like this kid probably doesn't have the best disciplinary record to begin with. They were going to Montessori school, which is not cheap for those of you that are parents and have looked at Montessori schools. Those things are fucking expensive. So I'm pretty sure that this kiddo's parents could also afford to throw some donations the school's way. And maybe if their kid is that much of a little terrorist, they probably should have. But if he's the one going around and giving it out, right, and he's the one providing it, then I would understand why the other kids might have a path to redemption. We don't know what this kid's disciplinary record looks like, but it's, according to the principal, it's extensive. So the pain and suffering because we didn't raise our kid totally the right way, or we didn't stay on top of what our kid was doing and other people found out that we failed. Boo. Cry me a river. Go cry to your therapist about it. That's who you should be speaking to about this, not the courts. I think it's ridiculous that they're suing the school. I think that, the principal was definitely dramatic in calling the kid a trafficker, but I think that the parents are absolute assholes for suing the school. Like, your kid screwed up. You got kicked out of a private school. You don't have a right to go to a private school. And, people found out. That sucks.
I love this story. The story is fantastic.
With Montessori schools, they're supposed to be the kids are given the freedom to choose their own activities within a prepared environment and everything. This kid chose to pass CBD gummies and give them to his homeboys.
He gave out his CBD gummy. How do you know that this kid didn't have an owie and he was helping treat his owie?
They got high on a field. Listen, they got high on a field trip. Everybody's got fucked up on a field trip. You know what I mean? Especially those overnight joints. But at the end of the day, the kid was not come on. He was just trying to fix his boo boo.
I wonder if there's a defamation claim since the principal called the kid a drug trafficker.
That is their claim. But I think it's fucking hilarious. The defamation claim is because they named the student saying who gave the gummies out. But my thing is,
they're not allowed to name minors.
They are the school level, I think. So it's Canada. I don't think that's I don't know.
Maybe we should ask Drake about that.
Maybe we should ask Dale. If a barrister took this case, how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, first of all, I didn't hear the story, so.
Oh man!
If someone's saying, "Oh, you defamed a kid because you called him a drug dealer," let me just remind you: truth is an absolute defense to a defamation claim. If he was dealing drugs, then.
He wasn't dealing anything, though.
He didn't sell them?
Yeah, he was giving it away, Dale. He was giving away gummies to his friends.
They're parody gummies?
I want to see proof that they were THC gummies. Like prove it. If you're gonna call my kid a fucking drug trafficker, and say that he had THC gummies, I want to see it. And if they say that the kids were acting funny on a field trip, we had this kid Evan in high school that was a dork. We gave him a piece of paper. We told him it was acid, and he had the best trip of his fucking life, according to him. So,
placebo effect, Stone. The placebo effect.
Yeah,
I mean, that's cool. That's cool and all, but I mean,
I think you're right. I'd require some proof, but
Yeah.
you know, this is a whole lot of upset about what? I mean, we used to sneak all kinds of shit. When I was in high school, we used to take acid on bus trips, and you know, we get off the bus and go smoke hash around the back of the bus. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean,
What is this all about? You give a kid some CBD gummies. I mean, this is the problem I have with this, the hysteria, is that your kid cannot die from an overdose of weed. I don't care if you give him a truckload and make him eat it. You concentrate it. You can't do it. You can't kill him. So all the hysteria is a whole lot about nothing. That being said, you know, you don't want people just freewheeling drugs on your campus. So you got to have some rules here.
And I think, you know, if they would have taken a CBD gummy, those kids would have been chill. I'm thinking those kids probably weren't so fucking chill, and that's why, like, hey, you three, what the fuck is going on over here? Like, you know what I mean? You guys are giggling in the corner, eating fucking hot Cheetos. What's happening?
I mean, they're just kids being kids. You know, field trips where a kid can be a kid.
Or a kid can be a kid. Well, they were obviously being more of a kid than the other kids because they noticed that something was up with these three. And so I don't think that there's a CBD gummy in the world strong enough to make somebody too high.
We gave that kid a piece of paper. He thought he took some acid. I'm going to defend him. That kid told these kids, these are going to make you feel so cool. Those kids felt cool, and they acted like, excuse me, they acted like ridiculous children.
So the other two did fine, but they knew that all three of them were fucked.
My kids all stole my weed, little shits.
Yeah, see? Heather was always in the bag, huh,
They should
Dale?
have piss tested the little fuck.
You damn straight. Thought I didn't know either.
Yeah.
I think we're all missing the real problem is Montessori schools, man.
Oh,
Fuck
boy.
Montessori school.
Oh, God. Here we go.
They're overpriced.
Montessori.
Go ahead. What's your rebuttal?
I was gonna let you finish.
No, yeah. I mean, they're overpriced schools that have like no real fucking rules. It does not prepare you for real
That sounds
life.
like
No
a great
real
school. No school with no rules.
Yeah, well, yes, and
real society, nothing.
yes, and Rico, I agree with you, and I agree that Montessori schools do have a purpose, but it's for like kindergarten age kids, right? Where you're not really learning shit. You're just trying to not pick your nose today. So like if there's exploratory learning kind of things, like for daycare, kindergarten age kids, Montessori's cool, right? That could, you know, keep them a little more involved and keep them freewheeling a little bit more into activities that they're going to learn something from. But a 12-year-old in a Montessori school, I have a 12-year-old boy, okay? You got to kind of give them a lot of direction. You have to guide them.
That's middle school. They're going to be doing some fuck shit.
Trafficking.
I know. Yeah, when I was 12 is when the first time I got a little attention from girls and stuff, and things start to change at that age. You don't need them in the same. You only need them in the same environment with a bunch of younger kids.
Maybe this Montessori school and maybe the principal's at fault. Maybe they should have a better economics program because obviously the kid was giving away the gummies and not selling them.
Oh, maybe, yeah. It sounds like
I think that might be another thing. This school, the parents can charge against the school, possibly in this lawsuit.
And I think that it's
just
hilarious.
gaining customers. That's all he's doing. Wait, free samples.
Right. This is his marketing program, okay? And I hope they were at least going somewhere cool, like the fucking planetarium, something you want to do high. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, I don't know. I just think that it's hilarious that they're making the argument that like, oh, the rich kids' parents are making donations because their kid fucked up at school. Yeah, hun, that's how private school works.
Mm-hmm. Are there cool things to do in Victoria, British Columbia? I've never been.
Probably fucking not.
That's why they're on gummies.
There's lots of things to do out there.
I'm sure there is. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm sure there is. It's a pretty big area, so I'm sure there is. But
what do you think?
Yeah, got it.
What do you
just listen to Drake and pop gummies? That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with it. Yeah.
Maybe THC gummies is how Drake ended up in that wheelchair on Degrassi.
No, he got shot, yo.
Really?
Yeah, wheelchair Jimmy got shot, bro. He got shot.
Oh man,
never forget.
I never forget. Oh, Rachelle, that was good. Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Hashtag never forget.
Hashtag never
All right.
forget.
All right. Guess we're done with that one, man. Big up, and I apologize for anybody I offended by saying Montessori schools are bullshit.
You're really apologizing. You're an apologist now.
Not at all. Not at all.
Wow, we've got way to backpedal, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Rico's the apologist.
Not at all.
Rico.
I said
We
not
got
at all.
we got the sound clip right now. You're apologist.
We got plenty of sound clips of you and your socialist ways, Jason.
There's no socialist ways over here.
You propping up DEI yesterday.
Just ways and means over here.
Yeah, you said you're a supporter of the co-op model, which is a socialistic viewpoint.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
absolutely.
You're trying to mince my words together and create a word salad, like as if you're working for Kamala Harris campaign.
This might be International Pie Day, but there's no mincemeat pie on my plate today, Jason. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of High 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments posted on the big screen. We had the C word in there today.
Yes, shout out to the C word, man. Thank you so much, the C word. We appreciate that very much.
Yes, absolutely, and great discussion over there. Ask some questions if y'all super chats in the future. Ask some questions. Let's get some more of these polls going over here. But big shout out to everybody else. Big love to the audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table as well. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, and Anthony behind the scenes, keep things straight in our AV struggles to a minimum. As always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason why we read these stories every single day. Thank you too. It has been a Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. The show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News, America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And today we're going to pop things right back out to the Minnesota Lego maniac of the world, Rachelle Gordon. What you got for us, Rachelle? Got a little THC seltzer love for us, to distribute those out to the people.
Yeah, make sure to buy some THC drinks. Check them out; they're cool. And just remember that CBD is not mid. There's something for everyone. Love you guys.
CBD is not mids, you guys. Look at that.
Hey now.
Yep. Go ahead.
CBD real?
Yeah. Hit that, Anthony.
Yep. Allegedly.
CBD real?